Hi, this is the Logitech G413 keyboard, and what has happened is the keycaps came off, and unfortunately at the same time these two parts also came off. So just inspecting this, you can see that the one part actually fits in the other. So this part here is what slides up and down, and if I show you the other one, and there's the one that's still left over. For example, there's a wire that goes round like there and comes round there. The purpose of this being on both sides is probably to provide an even press. So when the enter key is put back, what happens is it's balanced on both sides. So that is why there's that metal wire going from side to side. The problem is getting this back in is what's challenging. For example, if I put this in like that, I can't seat it. There's not enough space, and then I haven't put that in. So that has to go in first. So here's the way you do it. Now, these things are quite tricky. First thing is, this is the orientation. There's a loop here. You see there's a gap there. It's almost like a loop that goes round. That is on this side. What is going to happen is that wire is going to seat in there, and the pin part is going to go in there. Right, now let's talk about this thing. This thing sits in here like that. Now the challenge is this thing moves, so it's hard to get that pin through there and here. Now on this side it's got a hole there and a hole there. What we need to do is we need to get that wire into this bottom hole. It must not go in this side with the slide part. So if we have to look at a cross section of it, that's what that pin must do. It must go like that, and it'll bend round, and it goes there in that groove. You see there's a groove there. If you're unable to hook it in that groove, you're not going to come right. So that's what we're aiming for. Now this is not easy. Now what helps me is I am cheating a bit. I'm just opening this mouth a little bit, not breaking it off. I'm just opening it just a little bit. There you see, the angle is a bit better. Now this piece here, as you can see, it moves. You need it to be towards the top like that. That's not out, but about there. So if you look at a top view, it looks like that. Because if you have it down, then that wire gets in the wrong hole and then it just gets stuck. It's got to be at the bottom. Because if you have a look, there's two holes here. The one on the top is the wrong one. The one on the bottom, as you can see my finger at the back, is the right one. The wire goes through there. If you put in the one on the top, it just gets stuck and then it can't go any further. So this goes like this. And now what you can do is you can hold this in place with some sticky putty, but just make sure that your sticky putty doesn't leave residue, because if it's a sticky putty that leaves residue, then it's going to interfere and always be sticky in here. This is a sticky putty that does not leave a residue. Sticky putty is stuff you use to hang up posters and things like that. If you do not have a sticky putty that does not leave a residue, don't do this step. So I'm just going to put this on the side there to hold it in place. There you can see. So the pin will go through there, and if you look from the bottom, you can see that that little piece in the middle is actually down. It's down, which is now when I flip it around, it's actually up. It's up, right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scoop it in there, making sure to get the wire round to take a corner there, and this is going to hook on the wire. If you don't get this to hook on the wire, it won't get in there. Now, if both of yours are off, what you need to do is you need to grab this wire. You need to grab this wire with long nose pliers, and you need to hold it up like that. Right, so I'm grabbing it with my long nose pliers. And don't worry if this thing falls in. You can just lift the keyboard and bump it around until you find it again. Now I'm coming at an angle. Notice the angle. It's like I'm scooping it in. Right, so it's sort of in place. As you can see, when I move the pin or the wire, it is moving. But what I need to do now is just to confirm that it is in the right hole. All right, it is in the right hole because I can see the pin coming out this side. If you can see the pin coming out the other side, it's right. Now what I need to do is get that part to go round the bottom of that pin or that corner of that pin. This is tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the pin towards that side and wiggle. So I'm actually using this ply, I'm using these long nose pliers on this side to kind of pull the wire outwards so that I can get that loop round the corner of that pin, of that wire. Right, so I've actually done it, and now, and only now, I can seat that. If you haven't done it, you will not be able to seat that. Now I have to do the same on this side. Notice, look at that, when I move the pin, it's moving this one. See there, the wire is moving. Right, now I have to do the same thing. Can let that go now. Right, so on this side, the top side, I'm doing the same thing. I'm opening this up a bit just to make it easier. Right. Now notice on the side there's a slider. That slider has to go in there. So that's why you have to scoop it, press that way, and then go down. You can't just push it down because there's a gap there, and that slider has to slide in that gap. Now I'm getting this part ready. Remember, it's this way, not that way. So this way is going to face the pin. I need the pin to go in that bottom hole. I'm using my sticky putty trick. I look at it from the top. I can see the holes are aligned. I'm opening this up one more time, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to use a screwdriver to lift this, and I'm holding it in place on the corner there. Now I'm going to bolt it in or scoop it in. Now it's not going in, and the reason it's not going in, remember I said you have to scoop it. So that wire is actually like that. And what has to happen, that curved part has to go around that wire, and that's what's getting stuck. It's getting stuck on the edge of the wire. So I have to somehow go in like this, get it round there, but that also means that the wire can't be pressed back. The wire has to be as far forward as possible. So you can try different methods. You can try and wiggle it. Another method is to put my screwdriver on this side, and when I push here, it actually does that to the wire. Right, so I'm wobbling it and trying to get it into line. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a screwdriver in here, a flat screwdriver, and actually turning it. So there's the head of my screwdriver. I'm putting it in there and then doing that. So I'm doing that. What that does is it takes that edge and moves it forward. And the reason I'm doing that is then I can scoop in with that curved part. And this is a very small screwdriver. And just make sure that this piece is sitting upwards, because right now it was actually in the wrong hole, and I've lifted it up now. Right, so it's almost in, and I just need to press it a bit. Right, so as I said, I'm turning it with the screwdriver. You can see the corner has arrived there. I'm just turning it gently, and now I'm trying to seat this. I have to press this a bit, and there we go. It's in now. Now I'm just making sure it's seated properly. You might be able to see the corners there, and there's the corner. I'm just going to seat this a bit better. Right, so both corners have come through there. And you can see that these are now both connected, and I can put the piece back on. See? Right, it should be able to move freely like this, and now just return the return. And there it's got that balanced feel. If you cannot get it on, then unfortunately you'll need to open the keyboard. There's a couple of screws here, and then there's some hidden at the back, and then you can do it like that. All right, so thanks for watching, and cheers.